As you explain, oh, you go ahead. As you, I'm gonna just cut. Yeah.
Shit, you're supposed to say something, aren't you, Pete? If I'm not looking at you, how was I supposed to know? Right. Listen, y'all. So this is my first episode of my so-called poly life, and we decided to do it live. My back is to Al Pete, and he's like, "Go." I don't know. He's telling me to go, but so this is my new show, my so-called poly life. I want to do a show talking about my life and how I date and what that looks like. How complicated, how easy it can be. The concept of this show as we go along and as it starts is basically going to have different people coming in and talking about how they poly because there's so many misconceptions about what polyamory is, what it looks like, how you have to do it, and at the end of the day, you don't have to do it anyway than other than ethical. So today, I have a guest with me, and it is what I consider my nesting partner because he basically is my roommate, and since he's my roommate, I'm gonna nest with you. But a nesting partner is basically the person that you live in with, and they're not necessarily your primary partner. So I want to introduce y'all to Mr. Frederick. Thank you, sir,
Hi
for
guys and girls.
thank you. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Especially girls. But thank you so much for joining me today for this first live episode.
Sure.
Like I said, I've been talking. If you follow me on anywhere on social media under either Allison Gray, Wandering Alicia, or my government name, you know I talk about my lifestyle. I talk about being polyamorous. And for me, it seems very natural to be poly. If you know me as just a human, you know I love people. I love everybody. I love you equally. No, I don't. I'm quit. But I love everybody, and I have the capacity to love more than one person, and so that's what polyamorous is being able to have multiple loving relationships. And with those relationships, they don't always involve sex, which is my nesting partner. We don't have sex. We have different rooms, and it works for us. I said it's probably the healthiest relationship that I've ever been in. What about you?
Yes. By a lot.
It is
By a lot.
fantastic. Just how we like flow when we're in the house and stuff like that together. Um, I also have another partner. And it is so funny as I talk about these partnerships that you have the one nesting partner who's my roommate, and then you got the other one. He's like, I'm just a man whore, but like I love them both to pieces because they're so
Oh
loving,
my
they're so
god.
caring, and they're the sweetest. And so, um, I've been sort of in this lifestyle stuff for almost 20 years now because I originally started off like hanging around swingers, and but that wasn't a lifestyle for me because with swinging, that's just sex, and that wasn't who I was. Like I wanted like a meaningful relationship. I want a connection with you. I want to talk to you, Fred.
So was monogamy ever an option? Like what? Like did
For
you?
me,
Yeah, you didn't even start off
listen.
in monogamy. Not even one day. It was just.
I mean, you could say I did because the very first boyfriend, like it was
Mm,
just us, but we had threesome, so like it was a monogamous relationship, but it was open.
mm-hmm.
Which for that part, that's under the larger umbrella, which is ethical non-monogamy, which has the open relationships, which has polyamory, which has swinging, anything that is like outside of monogamous ish or whatever like that. Like all of that is under ethical non-monogamy, and so basically, what ethical non-monogamy is that all partners are knowing what is going on and are consenting to it. And that's the biggest thing with all of this is that everybody knows what's going on and they're consenting. You don't have to all interact because there's like these different types of poly. And so like my favorite one because I'm an only child that kitchen table poly is mine, and which is we all know about each other. We can all hang out together. Like we're gonna come over the house and cook for everybody. Like that's me all day long. Look, we can all live in the same house. Like it doesn't matter to me. But there's like the kitchen table poly. There is parallel where everybody knows about each other, but like now we don't interact or nothing like that. And then there is the I don't like this one at all, but don't ask, don't tell. So your partner knows that you have other partners,
It's
but
not
don't
like
want to hear shit.
monogamy though, right? I mean,
Listen, it's too, that one seems so close to cheating, but it's not, because your partner knows that you have other partners. They just don't want to hear shit about it.
I can understand that. I'm not gonna judge nobody. I understand that.
So which one, like, if you had to choose, or which you're poly, like,
I'm solo poly.
yeah. So but you're solo. So that is your dating site. But like, if these three of the kitchen table, parallel, don't ask, don't tell, like, what do you think would be ideal? Like, you want everybody hanging out together?
Maybe the parallel.
Parallel, yeah. I feel like that's how a lot of people are, because it's still, you're still unlearning monogamy, and so like it's weird to have like all your partners in the same room together.
I wouldn't
like,
mind. It's just I don't know if I'm developed enough in my poly to orchestrate all of my partners. It would just have to be. I don't know if they're going to naturally, like, I don't know. So I'm not going to, like, risk it. It's no need. Like, nobody's like, everybody's happy. So
So like the other day, my one partner was at the house and he invited one of his girls over, and for me, I was just like happy about it, because it was like, one, I knew who she was, and so we were already cool prior to me even being in a relationship with him, and so I love that he knew I was comfortable enough to have this person over to the house, and they hung out. They went and spent their alone time. I think I was entertaining other people at the house, but like for me, that is ideal for my situation, because I always want anybody that I'm in a relationship with to be happy. And so like there's actually terms for all this, guys, and we might put them down here or somewhere, but that's compersion, when you're like happy for your partner. And one of the things, like, I was listening to you talk to a chick the other day, and I just realized that sometimes people don't want their partners to be happy, and I can't understand that shit at all. So it was like, for us to have that moment where he had someone over and we were all just hanging out and having a great time. Like, for me, that is ideal. Of, we can all just hang out. Like, I'm okay with that. Like, I don't feel no type of way. I don't feel like I'm missing anything from any of my relationships. And so people are like, well, you don't think you can find everything you want in one person? And I don't. Like, do you think there's like one woman for you, or one woman's gonna be able to like, and for the rest of your life?
I think it probably is, but like she comes with other women, maybe, or she me.
So that's not one, though. You realize that?
One, yes, because I get stimulated in a bunch of other ways. Like, I'm an artist, so like if you are stimulating me through my creation, then that's a different thing. You know what I'm saying? That's something I'm sticking around for, like, forever, probably.
Yeah.
I've never experienced that, because I'm a nut when it comes to like just like creating shit. Is like sex for me, and sex is just sex for me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you can stimulate me on that creation part, I don't know how that maybe that is something, But now I'm not one though. Like, that don't make sense though. Like, I would be happy with one partner and we can explore the world together.
Yeah.
But I don't know about I wouldn't, if she's a creative, that's not two creatives are not building that. There's nothing creative about that type of relationship, trying to box yourself in forever together.
Yeah. And that's the thing that, like, I think with all of this is, like, when people come into relationships, there's these relationship escalators. Like, okay, we talking. Okay, so now we need to date. Then, okay, we need to get engaged. We need to do all this. But it's just like, why can't you just be in these moments? I remember as I dated, and this is some of the things that sort of like pushed me into polyamory. Like, as I dated, I was dating this guy and he was okay with threesomes, and I was like, fantastic. Like, I get to have threesomes. So I really enjoy those. But he was like, if we get married, that has to stop. And I'm like, wait, what now? Because, like, the only reason why I'm going to agree to marry you is because I like the way shit is going.
Yeah, because of the threesomes.
Not necessarily because of the threesomes, but like the vibe that we got. But it's like, okay, now that we get married, things have to change. And then this is supposed to be it forever. Fuck that. Like, nah. So it's like, as I progress, and so like as I start dating, I realize it. There are things that when I was dating someone, they were lacking. And it wasn't necessarily they were lacking, but there are other things that I wanted. And it was like, why do I have to be without those things? Why can't I just be honest? Like, these are things that I'm looking for. And instead of pushing you to do something you don't want to do, I just find somebody that allows me to do that. Like you allow me to do this, that person allows me to do that, and I love you guys equally, and I don't compare you guys, which is the most important thing. There's no comparison, there's no expectations of you, there's nothing but you show up. And this is one of the things that I said to my most recent partner. He was like, what do you want from me? And I was like, I want you to show up for yourself fully and allow me to love you. And that's all I want from anybody. I don't want you to do anything else, because the person that I like is who you are completely. And this person, I like them for a different reason, and I like this person for a different reason, and we can all coexist together. And that comes through communication, though. And I think that is the biggest thing in relationships. So there's a breakdown, sort of in monogamous relationships. We don't talk about that. We get on these waves of like, okay, that we talking, we do, or we've been together for a year, so we should be doing this, we should be progressing to this. And it was like, no, like relationships can stay where they are. Especially if you're not like communicating, like then you can leave that situation. Like you don't have to go to the next step just because you spent all this time together. Like in that season, you were my partner. Now we're going to end this. I'm going to find somebody else, and then you're going to go do your thing, and we're both going to be happy for each other. But that comes with communication, and I feel like that's the biggest breakdown. And so I feel like as I've started dating more polyamorous people, there's so much fucking communication that happens. Like the other day, Red Table Talk, Willow was talking about like out of all of her friends, because all of her friends are monogamous, she's the one that has the least amount of sex. And I think that is such a misnomer with a lot of people. Like, oh, you having a whole bunch of sex? Like, nah, I'm having a whole bunch of conversations, because we're like making sure, like, okay, what you doing? How do you feel about this? What is it that you're looking for? What can I provide for you? And so you're having this conversation. There's all this communication. And then I feel like for us in the community, there's a vetting process. And during that vetting is when it's sort of like the traditional, I feel like it's like the traditional sense of courting, where you're like going on dates, you're getting to know each other and seeing if you like this person. And then you decide to go into whatever dynamic you want to go into, or whatever it is that you want to do with this person, or however you want them in your life. Like you go into that. And then you enjoy each other's company. But I don't think that happens a lot of time in monogamous relationships. So it's like, again, made me reevaluate, like, what do I want my dating to look like?
Well, I was in monogamy for a decade, so I can tell you exactly how it go in that motherfucker. This ain't.
It's fine.
Can we cuss on the show?
Yeah. Because you good. We ain't in church.
All right, so when you're in monogamous situations, those relationships, and this is not all thing. This is not all people who are married. Like monogamy is great for people who find it in the right way, but most of the time people are looking for situations. So they're not really dating the person; they dating the situation. It's like, oh, you can offer this, 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 and this. So the situation you can offer me, I can live inside of that. And I think what poly, you don't even get to a motherfucking situation like until like you really just like that person. You know what I'm saying? Like it's really it's a freedom of I'm allowed to like you just for you, and you allowed to like me just for me, and we're allowed to build a relationship just from that. But when you in monogamy, it's like hierarchy. It's like you even watch like my guy Kevin Samuels, and you said that's what he's saying. People may think it's harsh, but those are the rules of monogamous situations. Oh, you want this kind of person, this is what you need to have, or this it's never about, hey, I like who you are as a person, you like who I am as a person. That's not how monogamy is like working. It may initially, the initial attraction, like you fuck a couple times and you go on a couple dates, once all that is out the way, and it's like, oh, the initial interactions of me meeting a new person. You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask you a question, because you were like, that's not how monogamy goes. Is that not how monogamy goes, or is that not how monogamy goes for Black people? Because I have some white friends that like get together and after a month they're like, I'm gonna get married, like I love this person and who they are, and then they're together like forever. But with Black people, do you think it's different?
Yes, I think it's it has to be different. We have a whole different experience. You know what I'm saying? Like it for anybody to say it's not different, they're just like, you're a jackass. Like you're just like saying that, you know what I'm saying? But you have to. Now I'm not sitting up here giving you the specific reasons why. There's a lot of reasons why, and I'm not educated enough to know like the statistics and everything that goes inside that on the reasons why. But of course, it's a disconnect between the Black man and the Black woman loving each other freely. You know what I'm saying? I need to have this Black woman this way. I need you to be this way. I need to have this black man this way. You need to be the head of this. Like, we need everything except the person. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like you're a robot and all these things are attached to you, and it's like people are just looking at the attachments.
Yeah.
But in poly, it's just you're not playing that game. Like, it's you looking at the person, you interacting with the person. It's like, oh, you into that shit too?
Yeah.
Shit. I've never thought I could be with another person who was into this, and I could say this out loud, and I could try this, and I can tell somebody my deepest desires. Because in monogamy, those are things that can be strikes against you.
Yeah.
Oh, you weak in that area. I need oh, you don't know how to do this? I need
yeah.
You know.
And so, and I think that's interesting that you say that. It's like they look at these things. So I remember I went on a date. We've been talking for a minute, and so gosh, I think we were talking for like over a month, and I finally went on a date with him. And we were talking. The conversation got on guns, which I'm uncertain how we got there. And he was like, "Oh, I have a gun," and I like picked it up with a napkin. And he was like, "Well, why'd you pick it up like that?" I was like, "Bitch, I don't know you. Like, I don't want my fingerprints on your gun." And so then he told me what he did. And he was like, "I never told you," and I'm like, "Nah." Like, and it was never a question for me to ask what someone does for a living, because like what you do for a living doesn't define like how you're going to enhance my life, because everything that I need that money buys, I can do that shit on my own. And so I think, but and I say that, and that is for me, and that's how I poly. But there are still people out there that have these conversations, because there's so many nation builders out there that are trying to build a new nation and all this hotel ass shit that they're trying to do. God bless them, not me. But we have like Marjani Lane. She is on Instagram all over the place. Like, she is a person that we go to for all of our poly advice, but she just opened up a new page that talks about wealth and wealth building within these communities, because that's the other thing also with having, you know, a poly relationship. There's like, okay, now you have 2 incomes, but now you have like 3 or 4 or something like that. And so like, what can you do when 4 people like come together and they're on a shared mission? Like, there's so much more that we can do and can advance if we just started thinking a little bit different. So I mean, the finance stuff is definitely something still important, but it's not anything that leads. And I think for me and how I poly, because again, you'll hear other people that will speak very differently from me, and how I poly, it's about like the person and them showing up and the value that I see in them. Their value is just who they are as a person, like how they make me feel. And so even with meeting Fred like a year ago, Fred was probably one of the first people that I met that saw me, that heard me talk, and was like, yeah, this person, like, oh, I like what they have to say. And it wasn't that he met Allison and you felt like you wanted to be in a relationship with Allison. It wasn't that he knew Leisha. He saw like everything about me, because in that conversation that I was having, I talked about being a domestic bitch. I talked about, you know, the poly stuff. I talked about wanting to be in kink. Like, he got to see a glimpse of all of me and was like, oh yeah, this chick, she needs to talk about something. So for me, the moment where I was like, oh, I need to figure out who this guy was like, that was the first time that I saw someone saw me fully and was like, oh, I fucks with this person. And that felt amazing. And then so to be, you know, a year later, and it's so funny, guys. So this is real informal for this first show. But with Fred, like, I call him my nesting partner. We're literally just roommates. And I was like, nah, this bitch is my nesting partner. Like, the other day, like, I went somewhere and I was like, I'm probably home like 11 or something like that. I'm just, you know, go show my face. And I think it was like 1:30 or something like that. Like, I was probably 5 minutes from the house. He texted me like, you good? And so like, he was still up, and I'm like, oh, he cares. I was like, that's so sweet. But it seemed very natural for him to sort of be that partner, and just like how we move in the house and stuff like that. And when you look at it, it's not like he's just a roommate. Like, he is someone that I care about. I ask him about his partners, because his poly is definitely popping with all his potentials or partners.
Potentials. That's important.
Yeah. Look, I don't know. Listen, I ain't trying to speak out of place or nothing like that. With his potentials that he has, and from what I know of them, they all are pretty dope. Like, do you think there's like, with your partners, is there something like they have like all sort of in common other than the fact that they can tolerate you?
That's the thing. That's the big one. You know what I'm saying? I'm a different kind of guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can give you a burst of energy, you know what I'm saying? But for the most part, like, I'm a creator, so a lot of my time is just, you have to be able to accept me in 10 minutes at a time. You know, maybe 10 minutes here, 10 minutes early in the day, 10 minutes later in the day. You know what I'm saying? Like, but those 10 minutes are just, it's just a reaffirming, you know what I'm saying, of what we have, and keeping everything in present time. And, you know, and I don't know, me just kind of growing into who I am kind of helps that, because when you're dealing with people, and not even saying necessarily all of them are necessarily poly, but they understand I'm poly, and they want to be in that. You know what I'm saying? They want to make it work, but just because I'm vocal and I know exactly what I want now. You know what I mean? So I would say that's very important when you start in your journey, for you to be vocal. You know what I'm saying? And really express what you want, and you have to like stick to that. Whether you alone for years or whatever the fuck, like if you don't stick to what you want, you never gonna like be like happy in the situation dealing with other people. You're gonna always be sacrificing or giving up something. You know what I'm saying? So I think the women who are in my life, you know what I'm saying, who, it's just, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's unfortunate. I ain't gonna say it's unfortunate, but it's I can't give but so much of myself. But like I always tell them, I appreciate what we have. Yeah, and I encourage them that live their life. I like to be the guy in their life to where it's like, well, I can really have you in my life and still go look. A lot of them monogamous. They, of course, they want to marry somebody one day. Of course, they want to, you know, but they get to enjoy this kind of poly relationship with me, to where it's no pressure, no nothing. It's just, you know, so.
And the biggest thing I think with, because you can definitely have, and that's one of the thing about people, is like you can be monogamous and have a poly partner, and it really is just about accepting someone as a whole. And I think that's the problem that we have in a lot of relationships, is fully accepting someone for who they are. And I think that's the key to like the relationship, like who you are with all your baggage. Like, I'm going to accept that. And so I actually recently met a young lady. She's very nice. And her husband is monogamous, but she's poly. And I was like, oh, well, this is interesting, because I feel like it's usually the other way around, where the woman is monogamous and the husband's poly. But to have her be in that situation, she's going to be one of our guests on, hopefully, if I can get her to come on, to sort of talk about what that looks like, and what does that conversation look like in a household, to say, you know, to death do us part, you're the only one type shit in front of everybody. But then somewhere in your relationship, you're like, you know what, I want a little bit more. And then that conversation, and then to be mature enough and love your partner enough to say, like, okay, if this is something that pleases you, is this something that you need? Like, I support you in doing that. And I think that's something that is missing in just relationships in general, like that undeniable support from a partner in shit that you're doing. And so, like, and for it to be, you are getting another partner, like, oh, and then like for men, like, oh, that ego of that, like, oh, I'm not doing it. And it's not so much that you're not doing it, but there's just something more that's not something that you want to do. And I'm not going to ask you to do something you don't want to do. So can I have this? Do you love me enough to allow me to have everything I want? And for me, that's why poly makes sense. That's why I decided to become poly, because even when it was less about me, because I definitely, like, if I could find me like a nerdy black guy who's in the BDSM, okay with me having a whole bunch of guy friends and shit like that, like, I could potentially be monogamous. But it's still gonna look a little bit different, because I'm gonna spend time over here creating these shows and stuff like that. I'm gonna have, like, I'm not gonna be spending a ton of time with them, so it's gonna look really different. But when I looked at my partner, when we talk about divorce rates and all that shit, and then we talk about the 80-20 rule, and guys are always cheating for that 20% or whatever like that, it's like, why would you cheat? Why wouldn't you have a conversation with your partner? Why couldn't they be understanding and accepting that, like, oh, she knows she don't do this, so why is she denying you something? And for me, if I love you, like, I want you to be happy, and I'm not going to deny you something I'm not willing to give you. So go get it from this person over here. And like, for all those reasons, like, for me, it just started making more sense. And then to go back to my friends, they were in a quad. So a quad is basically like 4 people. And so it's basically 2 couples. They lived, you know, separate lives during the week, and on the weekends they got together and they like swapped. And I saw that, and I was like,
interesting.
Huh. And I literally just sat there and I would just watch them, because I was friends. They had children. because I was like okay with what they had going on, like I was always the babysitter, so I just got to be a fly on the wall, like, which is my favorite place to be. I got to be a fly on the wall, seeing this stuff take place, and that's really when I was like, oh, this could work because they talk, they communicate, everyone's happy. And I'm like, well, why aren't other people doing this? Like, why isn't this norm? Why isn't this talked about? Like, it blew my mind. But they're white people, and I didn't see any black people doing this. And then I don't know how, Facebook, somewhere on Facebook, but I stumbled upon like some poly groups or whatever like that. And of course, my favorite, and I always shout them out, is Black Poly Nation. We're gonna be having a meetup, probably like the second, third week of June or something like that. But I found Black Poly Nation, and it was eye opening because Black Poly Nation has over 35,000 Black polyamorous people in it. And I'm just like, oh, this ain't no white people shit.
That they post.
Yeah.
I love women post on there. Oh, but you can't comment.
That sounds. But look, you jump in the DMs, but you got to be respectful. But I don't know how you
doing this to Olympics. You want to get 100 niggas? What the?
I know, that's why I was like, I don't know how you be fair in there.
I would never. Yeah, it's a waste of time.
You are definitely like a in person get to know you. Like, okay, like I could deal with him in the inbox. I could not imagine the fuck you would say in somebody's inbox.
You would have to. I'm very long winded. Oh. But you have to like approach me. I'm in the. I don't have an inbox game, so I speak like when I'm writing you, it's going to be long because I don't know how to shorten up my shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's just gonna be long. I may only be telling you like 2 things, but it's like 8 sentences.
So with your current partners, where did you meet them at? Did you just meet them naturally and just tell them like this is who you are, and then when you did, how did they?
You know what's funny? I only met one of my current ones while I'm in the person I am now in poly. The rest of them I met when I was in monogamous shit, but we never like got in a relationship. You know what I'm saying? I was like a side nigga. I was, you know what I mean? But I've always been this person, you know what I mean? So I think once I got a poly and I really defined who I was, it just made them more comfortable. It's like, oh, because when you're running around and you're monogamous and you trying to date women and you sitting there telling them like, hey, I don't really do attachment like that. I don't really want to get married. I don't really this, that, and the third. That don't make sense because you're monogamous. They're like, well, why am I talking to you? Why am I dating you? Like this has to have an end result to it. You know what I'm saying? So now that I can step into these things and be like, oh, the end result is solo poly. You know what I'm saying? That's the end result. You know, like yes or no. It's not even we don't have to wait months to see if we like. No, I'm solo poly. So, bitch, if you wanted to date today, you know what I'm saying? Like that's fine with me. Let's test it out for 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no pressure. You know, like, and it's just it's a great lifestyle like to live. Man, and people do got that misconception that poly is just a lot of sex. Like it's just not. You have these different partners for different things. I couldn't imagine a lot of my partners having a bunch of different partners for sex. You know what I'm saying? Because I know why I'm your partner. Like I know what I have to offer in the whatever that comes with me. You know what I'm saying? I know what I don't. So I know like when you find other men, that's what my ego don't get in the way of none of that shit. Like maybe you do like to get fucked 3 different ways. That's your thing, because I like it's not sex. I like head all types of ways. You know what I'm saying? So like, you know, it's okay. My ego, like as black people, especially black men, we have very large egos. How can you not, being a black man in America? You have to have an ego being around this motherfucker. You got it to survive as a black man. Like, and you're growing up like I got to protect this. This is all I have. So like, if you never had the space to let that ego just die down, or if you just roll, every black man should check themselves and be like, damn, where is my ego at? Why is it at this level? You know what I'm saying? Like, why am I still raging right here? Why am I not understanding? My ego won't let me move forward. And sometimes it probably is just like to see a chick with another nigga, you know, to it's just hurt. That ego is hurt. It's like this person can do something for you that I can't. Bitch, you damn right. This nigga can take you to brunch and spend hundreds of dollars on you. You know what I'm saying?
Freddie is not.
Right. You know what I mean? Like that's it. You know, but I do other things. You know what I'm saying? Like it's have your cake and eat all that shit. I'm gonna help you find a nigga that can do the other things that I'm not gonna do for you. You know what I'm saying? I'm never gonna box you in. So, you know, this being in this space is so much better just as a black man, and you know, it's teaching me even about my own ego and like what will I tolerate, what won't I tolerate. You know what I'm saying? Like once you open yourself up, you can control your ego and use it in healthy spaces and say I don't need it in this space. Like you good. This is hurting this person or whatever the case may be. So I think at the end of the day, it's ego. I just thought about it when you asked me about is this something that black people struggle with, and it's, you know, it's the ego we have.
Yeah,
it's hard for us to make that transition.
And I think one of the things for me, and I always talk about this with people, I'm like, because I've been through cancer, and so like I look at life very differently, and like how I could be dead tomorrow. It's like I'm not finna spend it being unhappy with some motherfucker. Right. Like I'm finna be with the people who make me happy, and like I feel like when we go through and we look at these things that we want from people, and we check off these boxes, like, oh, they check off this box, they check off this box, but are you really happy with those people, even though they checked off these boxes? And a lot of times people aren't. But when you're looking at forever, is happiness really the thing that you think about when you think about forever? It's like, nah, you think about like stability, this and all that stuff. And it's like when I think about forever could be today is when it ends, and I want to be happy today. I don't care about financial stability because I got a fucking job. And I think people have to start looking at things that way, of like happiness, what brings me happiness. And then if you need financial stability, go get another fucking job. Like don't depend on someone else, because I mean in my work people die all the time, and then what the fuck you gonna do? So like anything that you're looking for, like I feel like where it's like a sense of security from somebody, go look for that in yourself. And I think that's the other thing that people don't do, is like really behold, because it's like when we talk about like monogamy, it's like, oh, that's my better half. Like I wasn't complete until you found me. Like, nah, I'm good right fucking now. And that's why I'm okay with being single. Because I feel completely whole. And so anything that you bring over here, like, is an added bonus to my life. And I don't feel like that always takes place in monogamous relationship, because they're looking for what can you do for me, as opposed to like, I just enjoy spending time with you. Like I enjoy what you bring to my life. And for me, if you don't bring joy to my life, if you don't bring happiness, like, nah, I'm good. Like if there's, and I think the other thing for me, as we as I sort of talk about this, is being poly.
I want to stop before you move on. Checklist. When you were saying like people have a checklist,
yeah,
I do want to tell the people that it is okay in some cases to have a checklist. Like, does she use her tongue when she get paid? How far? You know what I'm saying? It's just like little shit that you could check off.
Right,
and say,
right.
Okay,
yes, those are important.
Right. These are important things. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, that's the things you want.
Right? When does it? So this is a good question. When does the sex conversation come up in like your sort of vetting process with people?
Lately, immediately.
Yeah.
Because it's not a conversation of when we gonna fuck. It's a conversation of like, how do you like how do you like to be pleasured?
Yeah.
Like, you know, that is the.
And I like that you said pleasured. Because that's, you know, like with my Kinkland stuff, that's all we talk about is pleasure. And but it's funny that you say it's like at the beginning. So with it being in the beginning, how have women responded to you having a sex conversation in the very beginning?
Very comfortable, because I'm not a very aggressive guy outside of, you know, but in regular talking, I'm not like I'm never doing none of that. So like, you gonna feel total. You gonna probably want to do it to me, because I'm just not. I'm consent. We can talk, we can all that, but I need full consent, because I'm not. There's not no soft porn shit that's going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, now the conversation, we can have any I know how to speak. You know what I'm saying? I know how to articulate what I'm trying to say, and it's not some trickery to fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I tell you off rip, I want to fuck you. Now on to other shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and I think once you get past that mystery of, once you get past all the bullshit that blocks us from just freely speaking to each other, I know how to get there immediately. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, either you're going to get there with me immediately, or we just not going to have this conversation. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
And it's, because I'd never asked you this, but like for me also, like when I have like my sort of my vetting process and stuff, like sex is definitely at the very top of my list because one, if for me, it's like, what type of partner are you gonna be? Because I have this whole kink side of me that I'm really into, and not a whole bunch of people are into it or have tried it or are open to trying it. So it's like, oh, if you're into kink, like, oh, okay, you might be a primary partner. Like, if you into kink, that definitely puts you at the top of my list. But if you're not, then it's like, okay, well, let's see what else this person brings to my life. I'm still gonna get this person over here because this is important to me. But definitely talking about that up front, and it has been recently really well received because it used to be like if a woman starts initiating the conversation about sex early on, like that's all they're gonna talk about is sex and sex and sex. And so like one of the guys that I recently sort of just got rid of, he was into sort of it was sort of, so we met on FetLife. So FetLife, guys, if you are into any type of kink, BDSM stuff, like that's your website to go to and find people. Get on there because we need more Black people in Jacksonville on there. I need to find you.
My inbox.
I haven't checked mine in a minute. But so like I met him on there. I was excited because of the Black man or whatever like that. And anytime we would have a conversation, he'd already given me a pet name, which already like you saw me as like one of your pets, not as just like a person. But it was like every time I turned around, like you there was a reason for you to try to punish me. There was this and there's that. And I'm like, dude, we just having like a normal conversation. He was like, well, you're a brat. And I'm like, nah, like I'm literally just having a conversation and making a joke with you. Like, and so for me, being in this lifestyle made me really look at like, what is it that I want? And I think we ask people that sometimes, like, what is it that you want? And they don't have an answer. Or it's like, what is it that you need? Like, even when you come to support, what is it that you need? And people don't have an answer. And so if you don't have an answer to that, this is me, you shouldn't be dating because the person that you're dating is never going to be able to fulfill what you're looking for. So by entering into this love style, it really made me look at like, what are the things that I need to be happy? And I realized they're very minimal. Like with you, like it's just your presence in the house. Like it's I don't even know. Like it's just that thing. And you're there. With my other one, like, you know, I see him once, maybe twice a week or something like that, depending on like what his schedule is with his other chicks or whatever and his work schedule. But it works for us because it's like we connect throughout the day when we have time or whatever. But I don't need someone all the time up underneath me doing these particular things. And I think that has helped, like doing that vetting process, because it's like I feel like in monogamy people get into the relationship and then they try to get to know the person and you're like, oh shit, and then you got to break up. Whereas over here we're doing all this talking on the front end, like do I want to partner with this person, and then you move forward, and generally it's pretty decent. But as I talk about it, my poly has been for me, I feel like very positive despite like my relationships ending. I feel like they still have been positive experiences because I learned from them. Each one of the people that I was in a relationship with, like at that time, like there was love there was genuine care and affection for that for those people, and it ended how it ended, but I still have like no malice towards them because they were great people. They taught me a lesson. Like, so if you go back and listen to the podcast that I used to do, Sex with Lights, on episode 8, episode 9, you hear how I was wilding out for a very short amount of time with two guys. They were they gave me my first experience with two guys, which was that. And then just being in a relationship, it opened me up because I always thought, like when I was looking at poly, I was going to join a couple. I was going to be their third or whatever like that. That's always my thing. That's where I thought I was going to be. But that opened my eyes to, you know, like what it would be like dating two men. And then from that, it evolved from being solo poly, which is basically I am my own primary. I might have multiple sort of loving relationships and they don't necessarily intersect. And for me, that made more sense because like when I look at the people that I'm attached to and the things that I'm attracted to, they don't necessarily intersect. Like if you know me as a person, like I'm all over the damn place. And so like my partners, of course, would be all over the place too. But that one made the most sense to me of being like solo poly. And the one thing I want to point out about that solo poly does not mean single, because you can definitely be single and solo, or you can still be partnered. Like Fred has 15 partners. I currently only have 2.
Don't listen to these lies. Listen, I have slots available. Don't listen to these. I'm not
what
getting
does it take to get in one of your slots?
Ooh, these days. These that I don't know. It's a certain connection that happens that I can't deny, and I deny a lot of shit. So it's like it just had to be something I can't deny. Like, oh, I fuck with this person, and if I fuck with you, like, I'm a fuck wittable person. So I don't, and I'm not, and I'm not a burden in nobody's life. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm such an easy person to have in your life because it's like having
and he takes out the trash, which was like a major thing for me that I needed from a partner.
You know what I mean?
Fred takes out the trash, the other guy keeps gas in my car. Life is lit for me. Like I feel like I ain't gotta do shit else, even though I do. But like, yeah, those are like some of my small silly requirements that I needed. Was like I don't never have to go to the gas station. Like so I ain't gotta worry about COVID.
But you know what's funny? I couldn't live with any of my partners, like romantic partners. Like I wouldn't be able to do it. And I've learned that because I've tried to build what we have with women in monogamous situations, and I always lost money and cars. I just kept losing shit like along the way trying to build, and I understood that okay, this is different. Like trying to build something is different than two monogamous people getting together and taking a chance on putting both their names on a house that one eventually gonna take from the other. You know what I'm saying? Like it's because when you build, it's just a different understanding. You playing by different rules, so it's just easier. You know what I'm saying? It's a way more healthier space. You know what I mean? And you know, a space. I mean, it only makes sense. You know what I mean? But kudos to people who are married and like. You know what I'm saying? Right. Married, happy, like you live with your wife, you know what I'm saying? Like they got a family. Shout out to D. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah, they look like they have like a lit marriage though.
But, like, right. That's why so I don't want to sit up here and say, oh I think the happy marriages is the ones that it's like, okay, you can look at that as an example. You know what I'm saying? But I know just me, I failed for a decade straight at that. So I kind of just lost my whatever. If I ever did have that in me, it's totally gone. Yeah. You know, due to failure for a decade. So now it's you know, I'm having fun.
And see, man. And I don't think I ever had like a completely traditional monogamous relationship because almost every person that I have dated has been in some type of sort of lifestyle or something like that. Initially we're in a lifestyle, knew about a lifestyle. So the dating process always looked a little bit different. They always included threesomes. So it was always like to a portion of it, it was always open. Maybe for them, not for me, because like with me, and the reason why poly makes sense is I have to have an emotional connection with someone. With open relationships, you can have like multiple loving relationships. You can have multiple sexual relationships. With swinging is strictly on sex. The strictly sex thing just never worked well for me. Other people, it's fine, it works. Listen, I want to watch. Y'all need a videographer, let me know. I'm here.
That's why I'm glad that this happened at this stage of my life, because like if I was like 20, 23, 22, let's say 22, if I caught wind of this shit when I was 22, not poly, but just like lifestyle, you know what I'm saying? Like if I caught wind of like oh, people just like sex is the only thing that matters here. Oh my Lord, I'll be such a terrible person today.
Worse like, than you are now?
Yeah, very worse. Like I'm so slowed down and I'm so like, that's why when I talk about sex, it's nothing, I don't talk, like I'm very aggressive in the act. In the talking, I'm literally like explaining what the fuck I'm gonna do. I'm like, oh, I just bought this new vibrator. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm learning this new trick. I need to do this on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not even like putting no romance in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm saying, hey, let me lift this up right here. I need to see how this feel. I need practice. You know what I'm saying? Like, I literally present sex almost as like, hey, I need to practice some moves on you. I got some new toys. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on? You know what I'm saying?
How is dating as like a poly man different than dating as a monogamous man for you?
Oh, dating as a monogamous man was terrible because I was just ready to be alone and just die, like just make albums, like do podcasts, and just eventually die off the face of the earth.
To have on here. Like I just wanted to die.
Yeah, I just wanted that. I was like, man, death has to be better than like this. You know what I'm saying? Like it just has to be a better option than like keep trying this over again. I done lost so much shit. Like I done went through hell. Like, you know, and the creating shit is the only thing that's kept me alive through all those points. So I'm at a point in my life now to where everything I'm doing creative is popping, is great, and like my relationships with women are like very healthy. You know what I'm saying? That they're very, you know, I don't do toxic shit. I don't do drama. None of that. You never. How many times have you ever seen me on the phone like yelling? You know, even mad. You know what I'm saying? You never see me like in that space. And I'm not going to start. You know, like I've lived enough of my life in that space. I'm not interested in spending the next couple decades until I'm gone, hopefully.
What has been the most surprising thing now that you've stepped in and fully accepting, like, oh, I'm poly. This is what I am. I'm solo poly. I'm like fully embrace this. Like, what's been the thing that's been most surprising?
The thing that has been most surprising is that I can apply. I'm a very caring person. I'm like monogamous caring type of person, and that's something I just have that I don't know how not to be. So now that I'm poly, I can bring this side of me out. I can bring this caring side of me back out because it's like, oh, you can't do this to me because I'm gonna want to be in a relationship with you, bitch. You know who I am. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm solo poly. Like the blueprint is right here. You don't even have to say this to me. You know what I'm saying? You're like, oh, you poly? Well, shit. Let's try it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just as easy as that. And I never thought I would get to a space to where, you know, I can have women in my life and it's just easy. So let's try this. Why not? You know what I'm saying? Let's like, you know what time I'm on, know what time you on, like. And it's just easy now. Like it's just you get exactly what you want. And with monogamy, I was just prepared to never date again. Like I was like, I just need to find like 2 or 3 sex partners where I could just I could be sexually active. You know what I'm saying? Like I got somewhere to go to have sex. But I was prepared for that to be my existence. Like, I was planning on not building no real serious relationships with romantic relationship because it's just such a failure, you know, because I'm a very like loving person, but I'm not monogamous. So those are 2 signals that will fuck you up. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't be that to a woman and think that you just like gonna tell her you monogamous, but you ain't looking for marriage. Nah, nigga, no, because everything you doing is like
that's the end game,
right? You doing the end game, my nigga. Like you know what I'm saying? Nah, you need to we need to get to the end of this. So now there's no end game.
End game is happiness, and
that's it.
That's it. And like when happiness is gone, and when it's like then you're like, okay, thank you for this time. Like I enjoyed it, and you can move on. I think for me, the thing that has been most surprising for me is like how open men actually are to like being in sort of this lifestyle and being one of multiple men in a woman's life. Like prior, like I said, prior to this, I was joining a couple. I get to have threesomes. I mean, I get to have a built-in best friend with the girl, and I get to have sex with him, and like, or they got some kids, so I get to be like Auntie Leisha-ish. So like that was my thing. And then I met the one guy, and then met the other guy, and they were cool with each other, and I was like, what? Word? And then like as we talked about it on the show, like it clicked for other guys, like how much sense that sort of made. And especially if you can have a good relationship with the other guy, because now you're not concerned, because you do have feelings for your partner, but you're not concerned when she's out with somebody else, like how is he treating her, what's that look like, or anything like that. Like I know this dude, like I know he's taking care of her in a way that I would. And so finding that, because even when I had like the 3 partners or whatever like that, there were still men that was just like, and I'm like, no, I'm polysaturated, guys. Like I can't even do what I'm doing right now, because I'm like, I didn't even know how to get here. I don't know how I got here. I don't know how to navigate any of that stuff. So that has been interesting to see the men being okay with being you know, one of many, and then also still being very caring, because they were like, as I talk to people, like, oh, do you think they care about you? They must not care about you if they share. It's like, nah, like I'm not gonna be with somebody who doesn't care about me, who doesn't love me the way I love them, but they also know this is me and they accept me. And that's the biggest thing that I have from it. So that has been that's just been enlightening, and it's definitely expanded everything on like what I thought my poly would look like.
I mean, if you care and love your partner, like you want them to be with like somebody who's adequate, you know what I'm saying? I always advocate for like women I deal with, like if you're gonna be dealing with a nigga like for money, this nigga need to have money. Like you need to be straight out here. You know what I'm saying? Like you need to be very intentional in what you want to do. Be intentional with him. Tell him like, nah, this is you introduce this to my life. You know what I'm saying? Like you know you want these things. Be intentional with it. You know what I'm saying? And like and go and get it. You know, like you got whatever you need from me. Like this is I'm the forever game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
and
this is.
And that's interesting. You talk about the money part because so like in the sort of the kink BDSM thing, you got regular doms and dames who like they do the BDSM stuff, but you have a thing called a findom, which is a financial dominant, and basically your submissives give you money, and that brings them pleasure to give you money. So like that shit is out there. Like you gotta find them. Like, listen, I'm legit trying to find me some of those, but that stuff is out there. But it's like, what is it that you really want? You have to be honest with like what the hell you looking for. Like, if I want one partner that's just gonna finance me and one partner does this, like you have to be honest with yourself, and this is what you want, and then pursue that. Because Lord have mercy, I'm telling you, like anything that you are looking for, like it's out there, and don't feel like you have to limit yourself in what love looks like for you. Like love is limitless, and that's one of the things that I'm finding over here, and then one of the things that I'm telling people, like love is limitless. Like you don't have to have it to just one person. It doesn't have to look just one way. It could look any way that you want it, any way that works for you. And the biggest thing is just focus on your happiness, and if it no longer brings you joy and happiness, like leave the situation. Tell the person like, this no longer serves me, and hopefully you guys have that type of relationship where you can leave it and you can still be friends, you can be happy for one another, cheer them on. Like I'm so thankful that like with most of my exes, like we have great relationships. I have the one ex, every Christmas, me, him, and his wife, we get on the phone and we chit chat together or whatever like that, because it was like we entered into this thing, but we realized that the relationship wasn't there anymore. Like the love that we started with wasn't there, and so we're like, okay, we can end this. And then of course there's this break, but I think all of that takes place when you start communicating and doing all that communication, getting all that talking, and finding out who the person is prior to entering into a relationship, as opposed to doing that shit on the back end. But we're just this lifestyle has been like so amazing to just get in, to share with people, to be open and honest and transparent. And it is, I never thought honestly that like just me sharing my crazy ass life would have me like wanting to do this. And so like definitely like just talking about it, more people are realizing like, oh, this is something that works for me, and maybe this isn't why maybe this is why my monogamous relationships haven't been working, because they didn't serve me, and what served me was just having this life where I was talking to more than one person, like more than one person did this. And I said this on the other show, and as we close out, I want to reiterate, like if you're, especially if you're a creative watching this, like you probably, you don't realize it, because your first love is like your craft. That's gonna always be a thing, and any partner that you get gonna compete with that. And so like finding your way to navigate that, and just being able to just be honest about all of that. And so again, I want to go back to the top of like my purpose of this show is to bring you myself, to bring you others, and just talk about this lifestyle, this love style, and finding the loves multiples of your life, and the people that are going to make you happy. Fred will be on sometimes. I'm gonna have other guests on there because I don't want it to be just me. Like I want you to see this thing from start to finish, starting dating, established couples, the different dynamics that are out there, all of that stuff. I want you guys to see that, experience that. And if you have questions, if this like provoke something to you, like hit me up. Like I said, across all social medias. You can go through MPN. But Allison Gray, Wander, and Alicia, like hit me up. Tell me your questions that you have. On the next show, we're going to be talking about more of the dynamics of what poly looks like. And today was just an intro, my personality, Fred's personality, and the people that you'll be seeing on quite frequently. But thank you so much for tuning in. Lord, thank you, Al Pete, for like having me on and having my crazy ass life on to your usually tame network. So we got a little weed smoking in here, so it ain't all that tame. But yeah, thank you so much for having us on. Thank you for, so much everybody for for listening and being a part of this journey of mine. Thank you guys.